and welcome to Round Robin. I'm your host, Robin McCormick with the City of Hampton. And today we have a fun, wonderful new festival that we are going to tell you all about. My guest is Luci Cochran from the History Museum. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
I'm so excited.
We are too.
So, Crabtown Seafood Festival. Yay!
It really is a special festival. You know, Hampton is known, or has been known, as Crabtown. A lot of people may not be familiar, and it earned that because really it grew into a city through its seafood industry.
A couple of different times.
Yeah, exactly. Probably the biggest change happened right after the Civil War. You know, we had been burnt down. We were in ashes, and what grew out of those ashes is an amazing industry of seafood. You know, we used to have piles. Some of us still remember the large pile of oyster shells.
That's not that old now, because I remember
You
that.
remember too?
So, I don't remember when there was picking houses all along
Yeah.
Chesapeake Avenue, but I remember the oyster shells.
But that definitely was that's who we were. And that really helped us grow after the war. And so it became a way for people to make a living. And it really grew the town dramatically. Go ahead, you were going to say.
Well, I was going to say, and lots of people, because it was not just, you know, after the Civil War, we had the contrabands, we had a lot of free black people who didn't have land, and, you know, there was all this stuff going on. And there were black people who were able to get boats and who were able to get jobs. And it began, not equally, but at least a little bit, to build us into one city. And obviously, it took a long time.
That was probably the most powerful aspect. That's great that you mentioned that, because it really did. You had people that were able to be fishermen, to be shuckers in the houses where they actually shucked. I mean, you actually created a whole industry of a variety of jobs, and it really helped the whole city rise. So we all rose together. And it really created a unique place for Hampton along not only the bay, but actually we started shipping what we got here out of the bay and out of our waterways across the country. I mean,
and that pasteurization was a huge industrial development that really did grow the audience and the business of what we could do here. Because before, you were limited to, you know, 8 hours away.
Exactly. You didn't want it too much longer after that. So it really, this is who we are and how we became the city we are. And so that's one of the special things about this seafood festival. Of course, you're going to have great seafood. You're going to have nautical vendors. You'll have a lot of fun stuff. Healthy Families is doing fun children's activities. You'll have artists there. Of course, we also wanted to make sure we did create that relationship with our past and also make it relevant for today. So the Hampton History Museum and Downtown Hampton Development is helping the city of Hampton. You know, we are a part of the Parks and Recs department, and Parks and Recs is putting this all together. They're creating this great new festival, and they've asked us to help with the education side because we do focus on the history and about building that knowledge about the seafood industry of the past, the wonderful boats, like the buy boats that used to be a part of our lives.
And what's a buy boat? I'm familiar with a lot of terms, but that one threw me.
These were large boats, really about 60 feet long, and they literally were called BUY boats because they would go out to the boats that had the oysters, that had the seafood on it, and they would buy it. They were the middlemen. They would buy it.
So you didn't have to bring the boat all the way into port.
Yeah, so you could continue working. It would save them time. So they would go out and buy things, and then they would bring it back to the shucking houses or the places where things were processed. It's interesting, they also did things like watermelons and tomatoes and even lumber at times. These boats were
you know, at that time, there was no bridge tunnel.
That's
right. No way to get to the Eastern Shore or Norfolk or Portsmouth or all the farmland that we would have had back then.
And, you know, we're called Hampton Roads in part because, you know, the waterways are roads. Yeah. So we really are lucky that the Chesapeake Buy Boat Association, I want to make sure I get that right, they're actually coming down and they'll be bringing some of these historic boats that are a part of our history to the festival. But then we have great partners, And there are so many. I'll try to remember to name all of them. We have Bass Pro Shop, who is actually doing a catch and release. So kids can learn. A lot of people, they eat fish, they don't necessarily know how to fish still. So we're building that immediate connection. We've got the Hampton Waterways Restoration Project. We've got Chesapeake Bay Foundation. We've got the Virginia Tech Agricultural and Extension Center, which is so vital. They're doing things about seafood safety. They also have aquariums out there. We have, in addition to those, we have Hampton University, which is doing a wonderful project about the agriculture of the bay, growing oysters. We want to make people understand not only about our wonderful seafood industry, but really also about how to keep the waterways healthy, because if we don't protect it, we don't have this wonderful seafood.
I haven't lived here my whole life. I came here as an adult, but I still remember the time when you could go out on Grandview Pier, Buckrow Pier, toss a crab pot over, and in an hour and a half, you came home with dinner for 10 people. I mean, you could fill a cooler, and that's not very often the case anymore. And so how do we, on an industrial scale, they're looking at overfishing and regulations.
Right.
But the big part is healthy water.
Right. I think a lot of people are familiar with the idea that oysters, which have suffered greatly over decades, they are actually the filter that filters the water in our area.
They're so necessary.
And it's amazing. Just one oyster or a few oysters can do gallons and gallons. I'm not the scientist. We'll have those at the festival. But it's amazing.
Oh, and the restoration projects have been great.
With seeding the oysters and the oyster farming.
A lot of neighborhoods are doing that. A lot of individuals are doing that.
And that's the kind of thing we'll be doing at the festival, showing people how they can do that themselves. We also, the idea of growing eelgrass and being a part of that process, where we are reinvesting and making sure the eelgrass is the home for the crabs when they're babies.
When they're little.
Right.
And a lot of invasive species have taken over and don't provide that.
Exactly. So we've got wonderful partners. Actually, right now we have 10. I think by the time of the festival, we'll have even more. And we'll be doing hands-on activities like what you can do at home yourself.
And this is for kids and adults.
Yeah, it's
we can all contribute.
Exactly. When we say education, this is about all of us learning,
and it's
not just children.
Boring reading slogans. You're gonna make it fun and
hands-on
exciting
building, doing it yourself. It's like a DIY. What do you call it? DIY. I don't watch those shows on TV, but I know what they're doing. But it's really
which means do it yourself. I don't usually use acronyms, so yeah.
Even better. I can remember that. So, but that's what we're going to do. Do it yourself. Finding a way to be a part of not only saving our seafood industry, but then making it live long past our grandchildren.
Well, and that is that part that takes Hampton back to its roots, back more than 400 years ago is only when the English settlers came.
Exactly.
We were a vibrant locality with people who lived here and fished and much longer than when the English showed up. So we're going to go back there, but make it relevant to today.
Exactly.
And we're going to eat great seafood and listen to some music, I bet, because it is a festival.
Wonderful music. And art, as I said. So it really will be a full experience. I think no matter what you're interested in, when you come to this new festival, you'll find something you like. And it's along the waterfront. Hampton has a beautiful waterfront from Mill Point Park.
People don't know all that. They don't know that it goes around from Mill Point and under the bridge. It's a really pretty walk. I've done it, a good number of times. So we're going to stretch from Mill Point
all the way to the Carousel Park, which is, of course, anchored by the Carousel. But all along that, behind our wonderful Crowne Plaza Hotel, you have this beautiful waterfront. You have the docks there, the beautiful boats.
And it's all different because you go from, the Virginia Tech and the Amory's and the industrial parts to where the big boats are at the city docks. The visitors come in, or some of them are local. And, just all around, you get that whole sweep.
And that's really, it's a walking festival, so you will, it's not a huge long space.
Not that long.
No one will get too tired.
No.
But it really gives you, like you said, a variety of vistas. And then
And you'll have some other boats docked that aren't normally there.
Exactly. We're hoping to have a variety of boats that represent our history, like dead rises. We'll, of course, have sailboats.
That one I know. Those are the oyster boats, and they're named because, why are they named?
Oh.
Dead rise. It's something about the way the boat
It's the
rises
shape,
in
right?
the front.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm not a historian. I'm an administrator.
But we'll learn,
yeah, we'll
right?
learn.
We'll learn it.
Yeah, exactly.
Did we say when this festival was?
I don't think we did. You're so good at reminding me of that. September 8th.
Which is the Saturday after Labor Day, because I'm not good
Exactly.
at numbers.
And it goes from 11 to 7.
Okay.
So it's a one-day festival, and it's a great time not only to come down and be a part of the festival, but come down to downtown Hampton. Because in addition to the great seafood that'll be along there, we have wonderful restaurants within a block of the waterfront.
Oh, yeah, great shops. I think people sometimes, forget all the things that are downtown. So after you tour the waterfront, you can go tour Queensway and
Take
step
a ride
in the air-conditioned shops.
Exactly. Go on the carousel. You have to go on the carousel. Go to the Air and Space Center, which is right there. And then about a block away, you have the wonderful Hampton History Museum.
Absolutely.
So it's really going to be a special festival that Hampton has wanted to do to kind of create that sense of place, who Hampton is. And once again, you'll get that history, but it'll be so hands-on and engaging. I mean, it'll be a festival I think you'll come back to often because it'll be new every time.
Well, I think so, and it connects us to, Hampton, the history, but also the innovations and the progress and the change that got us to where we are now.
Exactly.
But also then how do we correct some of the things we did wrong in terms of bay and, all that caring for the environment, caring for our future seafood.
Exactly.
I mean,
That's
it brings
really
it right home, doesn't it?
Right. It really does. And all these wonderful partners, like I said, Virginia Tech, Hampton University.
And they're doing really great research too.
Amazing.
So connecting all that, the past to the present, I think will be a lot of fun.
And we're so lucky to have the Virginia Tech Center right down in downtown.
Absolutely. Okay, well, thank you very much, Luci.
Thank you.
And thank you for watching. I am sure that I will see most of you the Saturday after Labor Day along the waterfront. I know I will be eating, drinking, learning, listening to music, seeing people, and having a great time with Hampton's history, Hampton's current, and the future of research and seafood and the things that we do best right here in Crabtown. Thanks for watching.